I'm gonna try and find a little nook and or cranny to talk to you so that I don't have to walk all over everywhere. So basically I think like a lot of important shit has gone down since I last picked up the camera. This is going to be about Edgar Wright, mostly. Obviously, Baby Driver just came out. The movie that will change the world. It's already changed my world. Basically what Baby Driver did for me was it like validated a lot of my own thoughts and ideas. It was like exactly what I needed right now. Like it's exactly what I've needed in this very specific moment in my life. I'm very thankful that it came out. I mean, the main way it validates my experiences is that he came up with this idea when he was my age, basically, like when he was straight out of college. And it was an idea originated from just kind of his own fantasies of car chases and cool car scenes. And so like that's kind of what's going on with me. Like I'm just always having these ideas and no way to make it cool, you know, when you're talking about action sequences or stunt sequences. That's not shit I can do right now, but it makes me feel like someday it might happen. And it makes me feel like the ideas I have now might be actually worth something, because the idea for Baby Driver came out of a 21-year-old's head. It also validates another thing that I kind of always, if you look at like my YouTube channel before I was vlogging, it's all stuff with music and like full songs. So kind of making music videos is something that probably is pretty instinctual to me and something I will probably be doing soon. But I always kind of held myself back from doing that kind of stuff because it felt like, oh, it's making music videos or doing stuff to music, not real filmmaking. Like real filmmaking is dialogue. Kind of is what was in my head, and so I was like, this isn't really proof of anything I've done, because you're relying so much on the music. But now having seen Baby Driver, I'm like, fuck all that shit, like like that's filmmaking too. And I just am really glad that that movie came out, because now I feel like all that stuff I was doing is totally validated, and it's just very exciting. I seriously feel like Baby Driver coming out is like, looking back on my life when I'm older is gonna be like, that's when I started to do shit. Like that's when my life changed. I also just like really love cool car chases, especially like escaping from the police type chases, like where there's a helicopter, you know, or something. Like I saw Drive a while back. That chase scene, like I thought that chase scene was gonna be the coolest one, like where the one where he pulls the reverse 180 and then he's just like continues it and like keeps going backwards down the road, and just like knowing how fearful I am of going backwards at all when I'm driving, and then the fact that he's going like 100 miles an hour backwards down the freeway. So I thought Drive was the coolest car movie that was ever gonna be made, with the best soundtrack that was ever gonna happen. But then Baby Driver came out, and now I'm like, Drive's pretty awesome, but Baby Driver, you can't beat it. So now I'm super like daydreaming about getting to do like chase scenes and car stunts in the future. And then Baby Driver also has a really cool like foot chase, and those are fun too, and Ansel Elgort looks freaking cool doing a foot chase. Like that is the coolest fucking scene in the movie. You know which scene I'm talking about. Hocus Pocus. That freaking blew my mind. Just everything was in time with the music. It was so cool. I'm like shaking. You can see in the camera that I'm shaking because I'm just like, literally, that's from how emotional I am about this movie. I'm not kidding you. But like, I am hyped up about this movie, you guys. Bill Pope is an amazing cinematographer. I've loved him ever since The Matrix. Those were me and my brother's favorite movies to watch as kids. And I always remember like Trinity doing that big jump. Sorry, this is shaking a lot. Trinity doing that big jump through the air. That's super cool. You get kind of that same dynamic feeling in Baby Driver. There's a scene where just the red Subaru that he's driving just like careens around near the camera, and it's just like, oh, it's so cool. It's just such a good, it's so good, you guys. So I won't tell you how many times I've seen Baby Driver, because I think I talk a lot about being broke, and so you might be judging me like, okay, if you can't pay your rent, why the fuck are you buying all these tickets to see Baby Driver? But okay, this movie is like the best movie ever to see with other people around you, like especially kind of, I like going to like a matinee where there's maybe like, not a huge crowd, but like enough where you can like kind of track individual responses to the movie. Super fun, like to see how jokes go over, and I just absolutely love when like there's a joke and it's not like a huge joke, so you'll get like a little giggle, but then like it'll kind of catch on, and then like someone else will giggle and then like soon everyone's just laughing and you can't stop. And yeah, and this movie has laughs too. It's not like 100% comedy, it's like mostly thriller, but it's a funny movie. So it was very cool to see Edgar Wright actually kind of get serious for a moment and kind of cut out his ironic shtick he usually does, which we all love, but he kind of dealt with some raw stuff in this movie, and that was very cool. I'd love to see him do more kind of serious stuff in the future. So yes, Baby Driver changed my life. Someone asked Edgar Wright in an interview who his favorite director was, and he couldn't answer, like he couldn't pick just one. And like, I feel like most people are like that, like you can't pick just one, but for me, yes, I like a lot of directors inspired by a lot of different people, but it's pretty clearly Edgar Wright, and I feel like when I'm 43, it's still gonna, my answer will be Edgar Wright. Like someone asked me that question, it's gonna be like Edgar Wright, no contest. So I think that is kind of something that sets me apart from everyone else, is like I have this very, very passionate kind of response to one filmmaker, and like no other comes close. So I feel like the way that my movies are gonna be is gonna stem from that a little bit, and we'll see how that turns out. I want to see like every movie, like I hope I see every movie that ever happened somehow, like over the course of my life. There probably isn't like enough minutes in a lifespan to watch every movie, but I want to see like all the great ones, and then when I have time left over, I'll just go like see the rest of the mediocre / bad ones, and I just want to see as much as possible. But as much as I see, there's gonna be nothing like the personality and the drive that is behind Edgar Wright, and hearing advice from him kind of feels more important and is gonna impact me more. I'm gonna take it more seriously than from anyone else. So yeah, he's number one. I feel like some of what I may have missed by not going to film school, not all, definitely not all, but a very good chunk of it has been covered by the immense knowledge that Edgar Wright has, and just kind of the percentage of that he's chosen to share publicly. Anything that he said to, you know, in front of a camera or to an interviewer, anything in the public eye, I have heard. So anything that he's decided to use as education to anyone who might want to hear it, I have heard and I have been educated by. And more so than technical education, it really comes down to like motivating me to do it. It's very cool to see where he came from and like what he was doing and the path he followed, because he's pretty much told that like big chunks of that story, and so I'm like kind of low-key comparing it to my life and seeing if it's like similar, and just overthinking it a lot basically, but trying to take kind of notes off of things that were mistakes that he said he has made and things that he wished he did differently, and kind of it makes me feel better about things I've done that I've regretted, and knowing that that's gonna be a part of how I go where I go, and it's gonna help me learn. And I think I will let myself make mistakes, but I don't think that straight off the bat the big first project I do is gonna be a feature film. I'm probably gonna wait until I know what the hell I'm doing before I do that, because Edgar Wright talks about having been given a second chance to do his debut feature with Shaun of the Dead, because if you've ever seen Fistful of Fingers, which I got from a digital download from someone who's very kind to give that to me, it's great, I love it. He says that he's not very proud of it, or he wasn't very proud of it at the time, and it was like a very early project, so I think if I keep my early stuff to like shorter and kind of off the radar, it'll give me practice and it'll give something to look back on, but there won't be that pressure of this is your first feature, you know. So I think I can learn that from him and kind of not repeat that instance. Edgar Wright has nearly seen every film. He's like seen all the important ones and like a lot of the not important ones too. He's seen like, I mean, he knows everything. Like, he's the encyclopedia of film and also music and like culture. He's pretty cool. I can almost assure you I won't be that cool when I'm his age, but hopefully someday I will.